feel like the youth definitely has a huge negative stigma on it this time around, because you seriously have New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, like non-stop writing the fact that we're actually not going to vote, like we don't care, and that's not going to improve the situation. Like we're eating what people are feeding us in terms of like how we should act.
I don't think it's a level of apathy. I think students really care, and you can tell that in classroom discussions, in discussions amongst friends, that people do have opinions, but it's hard to see how your opinion gets played out in elections because your vote isn't, every vote counts in a certain extent, but then again, every vote has no weight whatsoever. So it's a hard thing to rationalize.
For New York, Colorado, again, it's just trying to associate like canvassing and volunteering, and then like a lot of like partying and stuff. Like that is something, again, like New York, Colorado is kind of famous for incorporating, because we do try to utilize our resources for just students, and students like drinking, partying, all that stuff, and they deserve to have a good time every once in a while. So we just try to target that and try to be. I guess it's hit. Like we don't want to be bland or normal. We want to create the next best like event or concert for kids who have volunteered to go to. So it's really upsetting to think that like these young people are complaining about the fact that Obama didn't do anything when healthcare was being voted on. You have like Tea Partiers spitting on like our representatives, like calling Barney Frank like a faggot, like, and we weren't there to show our support. Like, of course like it's going to be more difficult for them to implement these policies they've been promising when the only people that have been talking are the Tea Partiers.
It's really a shame that it's like strong negative emotions that usually motivate people to vote. I think people who are generally satisfied and think people in charge are doing a decent job with their jobs, that doesn't really motivate people like the sort of sentiment like we have to kick them out, we have to take our country back. I guess I'm just sort of a little bit surprised at how inactive students are politically. My parents grew up in the 60s and they always tell me about what that was like, and obviously this is not that time period, but for students to be as apathetic as they are is a little bit shocking. And they have, voter turnout is one thing, but getting involved in campus activities, I think, is where you see sort of less involvement from students. But as far as voting is concerned, obviously turnout is going to be less than the presidential election, but I think that's one area where participation is slightly higher.
It's not a presidential election. There's less excitement from the media, which is to be expected. It's a midterm election. However, because the youth vote turnout has been on the rise for the past 6 years, I think that hopefully students are just like getting into the mindset of, okay, last time all my friends voted, that it's just like the thing to do, let's do it.
It's very interesting the differences between 2008 and 2010, because back in 2008 it was everywhere you go it's Obama, Obama, Obama. There was so much excitement with the youth for President Obama, who was then candidate at the time. And this year, it feels like it's completely the reverse. I've never seen so many conservative students motivated and willing to spend extra time to help candidates. And it seems like the college Democrats are just much more disorganized. There's a lot more apathy, I believe, with the students. We had 120 people at our first meeting for Ken Buck, and the college Democrats had 5 people at their first meeting. The differences are truly stark. The main things I hear are the increasing costs of college, obviously. Unemployment is big. The unemployment for young people right now is at record levels, and so I hear a lot of my friends talking about that. And the deficit in general, just the huge government debt, because college students understand that we're going to have to pay that off someday, and so they're increasingly concerned about that. There's a lot of people who are really concerned about those fiscal issues this time around, and then there are a few that are really concerned about the social issues as well, and the personhood amendment and things like that. But this time it seems the economy and the debt deficit are the 2 big draws for younger people. My own personal feeling is, although I'm Republican, I don't believe that all government spending is bad. Indeed, we need roads, we need bridges, we need a space program. And I do believe that, as an economist, investing in human capital is a great way for an economy to stay competitive. And if the U.S. is to stay competitive, we need to keep investing on high-skill resources, and I think it'll be good for the economy if students can graduate without all this debt dragging them down. So I do believe in having a little bit more state subsidies on human capital or tuition. We put together voter registration drives. We do follow all the laws. We register everybody, but our goals are to register more conservative students. So I'd encourage all students at all campuses, especially conservative students, to get more involved and to try to get your voice out there. Don't be afraid.